So it's fall 2017. I don't remember the month exactly, but we're in the midst of a season. We're starting off the year 10-0. Getting all the way up to the top 5 in the country, and video is starting to surface around Dade County of a very special freshman football player. And so I remember, and again, I don't remember when it was, but I remember driving over and I'm sitting in the coach's office at Monsignor Pace High School, and in walks a 9th grader. And instantly, after watching the film and seeing this young man walk in person, you realize at that moment that this is the exact player that the University of Miami has got to sign to accomplish the goals that we want to accomplish ultimately at this school. That day, which ended up being, I think, his first offer, started a relationship with James Williams and University of Miami football. That was a relationship with myself, Ephraim Bonda, DeMarcus Van Dyke, Blake Baker, so many other people here in our program and in our building. That's 4 years. 4 years, the duration of a recruitment of a player like James, and obviously, like our football program, the recruitment itself not without its ups and downs.
James Williams has been as special of a talent in Dade and Broward County as we've seen over the past few years. We've been recruiting James for as long as we can remember. We've got a great relationship, a great young man. Has overcome a lot to get to this point, and when he's on the football field, a very special talent. And this past season at American Heritage High School, really, he's always been special, but he probably saved his best for last in high school because he's really even turned his game up to another notch, making big-time plays right here off the goal line. And it just seemed like every week when American Heritage needed a play, whether it was a pick, forcing a fumble, recovering a fumble, blocking a kick, James did what great players do. They find a way to make the play that your team needs to win the football game. Here's another example like I'm talking about, just relentless effort. Relentless effort. Guys could take a play off right here. Not a guy like James, and that's a guy that's never satisfied, wants to work to be great, and there it is. Scoop it, and that's it. That's how everybody in the stadium knows that you can leave your impact on a game. And that's what makes James so special. Same thing, watch him right here, down close to the box. Bang, and then not just the tackle. Good players make the tackle. Hunts the football, pulls the ball out. I mean, that's special. That's 3 special plays by a very special player, and very, very proud to have James join our Hurricane family.
Great. Thank you, Coach. We're going to start off with David Lake from 24/7 Sports. David, go ahead.
Yeah, Coach, wanted to go back to James Williams. You mentioned when you first met him that it was obvious he's the type of player you got to land to, win the games you want to win. In a similar line of thinking, does signing him today represent, he is the type of player, with winning recruiting battles against major programs that you gotta win to keep the big time players home? Understanding you're not going to keep all the big time players home, but the goal is to keep your fair share. Does he kind of symbolize the importance of winning those big recruiting battles here in South Florida as well?
David, I think that's exactly it. And obviously it doesn't start with James. And there are other guys in this class that would represent the same thing as guys in last class, whether it's a Don Chaney or Jalen Knighton, and there are others. But the idea is that it's more. And the idea is that now that if I'm a 9th grader, I know I can be a big-time player and I can stay home at the University of Miami. I don't have to go somewhere else to play. And so the more we can kind of, hammer away at that, and the more the players can see that this can be a place where you can have success and meet all your goals, and that'll help us in the future. And this has been, and I think that's why it's important to put it in context of time, because obviously we knew that was really important 4 years ago as well. But some things just take time. And sometimes it just takes the persistence of a program to get it to where you want to. We're not all the way from a recruiting standpoint that we want to be. But some of the changes that we've made in the last, almost 24 months are paying dividends. And we hope that they continue to do so. And we suspect that they will. Yeah, with LT, it was all the way back when he was at Southridge. And then it was a camp. LT would come just to our practices, when he was still at Southridge, and just be around. And then there was a camp performance, and it was, again, just James obviously is just such a unique talent and his size and the way he played his senior year at Heritage. I thought he even took his game to a different level. I thought the coaches there were fantastic with James. But Leonard, I mean, there's the big time defensive tackle coming out of South Florida. You just don't see those guys all that often. And we felt like we've got, we're super excited about Elijah Roberts a year ago and LT. These people just don't exist all that often. There's a lot more great skill guys running around than there are the super big people. So to see a guy that can move like LT could and can with his skill set and size is just very unique. And that's why, it was pretty obvious early on that he was a special one.
When you think about all the great Miami Hurricane defense of the past, you think about the disruptive defensive tackle. And Leonard Taylor's got a chance to be another one in the long line of great disruptive defensive tackles at the University of Miami. What he did this past year at Miami Palmetto was special. On a very talented team, very well-coached team, LT took his game to a different level. He lives in the backfield. His ability to make tackle for losses, to make sacks, get his feet across the line of scrimmage, call disruption. He is almost an impossible person to single block. I wouldn't recommend this play right here, which is to not block him at all. But again, you see the great get off, the great pad level, and his ability to finish in the backfield. Just a very special young man, very special talent. Watch right here. He's able to shed the guard and then finish the play in the backfield. And that's what's made him so special. He's just got such great, a great motor and a great ability to make a play when he gets back there.
I know all the recruiting victories feel good, but I'm curious about Leonard Taylor because I remember speaking to him in March, right before the pandemic sort of shut everything down at the Under Armour camp. And I asked him about Miami, and he's like, "Oh, they lost FIU. There's no way I'm going there." And in the middle of a pandemic, you changed his mind. You convinced him to come. How did you guys do it from your perspective?
I think the only way you do it is just you have to be relentless in relationships, And again, our recruiting staff, Todd Stroud, Ephraim Bonda, just everybody on the defensive side of the ball. They were just relentless, with LT. Again, LT's a guy that I think we were his first offer. So we've known him, we've known his mom for a long time. And you just stay after him, and what we always say is, trust, which is so important. Trust is consistency over time, being the same person over time. And ultimately, I think that's what started to turn, and obviously as we got into the year and there were some positive changes in our program, and it just shows, look, I mean, there's going to be points where we stumble along the way. Obviously last weekend's an example of it, but it doesn't have to define you. It doesn't dictate your future outcome. And as you mentioned, if it seemed in March that there was one future outcome, well, here we are in December, and it turned out not to be true. And it's easy in recruiting to make big deals. Look at James recruiting, where that went, and guys that committed to us early and then looked around and whatever. And we're going to be who we are. We're going to be consistent, and we're going to be relentless. And I think that's told the tale with not just LT, but with a lot of these kids in this class.
And then the second question.